That's a lot of boxes to empty, eh? We've just got the glass stacked up against the wall. That's quite a few bits of glass, eh? What are the little boxes, did he say?
Water lifters.
So that's all the boxes, and that gives you an idea of how long this greenhouse is. Morning all. Today is greenhouse building day. I'm so excited. I'm sure we're going to have lots of minor domestics during this, but we are currently, and I'd forgotten to get the camera out, currently building the side of the greenhouse. Working out how many nuts and bolts you need in each slider and things like that. We've laid out the bottom face down. This is the inside face of the greenhouse, and this is the top bar, also inside face. And we have just worked out that you need to put lots of these bolts in, depending on whether there's a louver opening window in position or not, or whether there's a cross brace. So you need a top and bottom bolt, obviously, plus one for the top brace because it's a high roof line. And then where there's a louver, you need extras to fit the louver in there. And that's it really. So there's a basic, if it's just a basic one with just attachment, top and bottom and a brace, it's just 3 bolts. If it's a louver, it's 6 bolts. And if it's an end one with one of these sort of cross braces, it's 4 bolts. So far we've just laid those out. And now I've got to attach the top. It's interpreting the instructions that seems to be the problem mostly. So I've drawn on, because obviously this is for lots of different size greenhouses, but we had to count how many bolts we needed and where we were putting the louvers and things like that. So in the first instance, you just hand tighten the nuts, which have all been sprayed with WD-40. Right, that's the first side loosely bolted together with the stays on. And hopefully we've still got a nut there and over here above the bar to take the bracing. There's a sort of tall bracing at the very top of the roof for hanging baskets and things. So you need a nut at the top. So that's it, we've got them all in place. So tick box, glazing bar is pushed tight top and bottom, yes. Tightened all the nuts except the stays, that's what Dougie's doing right now. Slid extra bolts in the glazing bar, channels for the braces and louvers. Yep, sorry, we've got tractors and helicopters going now. Fitted the ground anchors, we have indeed. So on this side of the greenhouse we have got a integral 1 foot staging, so you need to add an extra bracket and an extra thing for the bracing bar that goes across there. We now have 2 sides loosely bolted together. That's good. The bolts are really rather fiddly when you're trying to twist them, especially if you've got old fingers like me. So we've got a 1 foot integral staging along this window, which is what those brackets are for, but they've sent the wrong length brackets that hold it up. They sent the 2 foot ones instead of the 1 foot ones, but I've reported that, so they should come shortly. But we have put the bolts in position and the brackets in position, so they just get screwed on when the brackets arrive. Right, we're onto the rear now, and deciphering the instructions is taking somewhat longer, but it's worth doing. And what we've done is mark on the diagrams how many nuts and bolts we need to apply to each upright. So we've got the parts in the general location laid out on the ground. It does make life easier for you to work out what's going on. I'm sure if you've done this once before, it's fairly obvious. So these are the corner brackets for joining the side and the back together. And then we've got 1 ground anchor, which will be in the middle. And we're going to put a louver in the back middle section here. So this uprights need extra. So you have to add 3 to each side of the upright for a louver fitting there. You can put them wherever you want in these 3 middle ones, but I'm going for the centre one. So this crossbar goes the back corner, the brace, and then the horizontal which is nowhere near in line, so I just need to stretch that a little bit. Put the nut bolt through the 3 pieces and then screw on the bolt. I hope that helps you because it took us a while to work out. There we go. So there should now be one here as well, which we've slid up here to go underneath there. In fact, there should be one on each one here. That's not in line, so that needs lining up a bit. These tools are definitely needed. And then I need to put some nuts on them and screw them in. So is this right? So there should be a hole, is there, that's got nothing in it then? Okay. This is by far the most time-consuming part of the whole job. Getting these nuts on. Your fingers will be sore by the time you're finished. So, despite the fact that these came out of the rear wall box, these are too short. So we think we've got the wrong ones. It's supposed to measure 192 something, and they measure 191 something. So that, no matter how much we pinch the top together, is never going to fit in that hole. So we think we've got the wrong thing here, which means we would have to take this apart again. So yes, we did indeed have the wrong part. Note to self, measure the uprights before you install them. Right, this one fits now, so that's good. We just need to get this top one in now. If we can, that's quite tight. Let's just get that in. That's not quite right, that's it. Just tighten that one up so it doesn't fall out. It is prone to falling out of the other end. You have to go from the underside, which is slightly awkward. And fiddly, mostly. I think that's going to be the topic of this thing, is fiddliness. But there we go. That's all the bits for the rear, is it? We've got the corner brackets on, the ground anchors for the corner and the middle. Cross bracing, horizontal cross bracing, extra bolts in this centre bit for the louver. Yeah, now we've got to turn it over, apparently, and put some bolts on the other side. Right, end of day 1, we have all 4 sides built. It was fiddly rather than hard, I would say. You're having to double check yourself over and over again, especially with getting enough bolts into the sliders. It's probably worth putting extras in just in case you want to retrofit any integral staging or anything. We haven't put extras in, having said that. You can buy half twisty bolts that can go in later if you have missed some, so it's not the end of the world. The door one was the most awkward because obviously there's more parts to it. So tomorrow we will be joining them all together, hopefully, and putting the ridge bars on. So speak to you tomorrow.
So now
Got to do the same on the other side. I'm going to have to, or me and you're going to have to lift that one over, and then I'll hold it while you screw that side on, yeah?
Two choices.
yeah, spirit level on it.
What do you reckon, Bon? You in the shop?
Yeah.
So people can see what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, screw that together. And then it's the same on this side. Here we go. It is officially sides up, all connected together. So, as you can see, we have got brackets tying the corners together, and it's all bolted together up the top here. So, yeah, right. Next we've got to get the roof ridge on. We have now got a roof bar on. 2-step ladders required because of the height. And putting the central roof beam in next because that pulls the sides in apparently. It's a bit awkward because you've got to get the ridge just in a slot and it has to be right flush against it as well. The roofing bars are going on fairly simply, she says. Don't want to tempt fate, but there is a very black cloud coming in the background there. Perfect. Right, so a bit of a knack for getting the eaves bar things to drop down without all the others falling out, and that's to shake it down a little bit and hold it with a screwdriver and it just drops into the hole.
Hang on. One more. Yeah.
So this diagram is supposed to tell you how many screws you need for each item. How are you supposed to count them? Come on, Rhino, you can do better than this. 1, 2, 3. There's 2 in there. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 for that, 8. 1 for that, 9, and 1 for the top 10. It says 8 plus 1 on the diagram. How the hell are you supposed to work out? And this is notched in the wrong place according to the way we've put it on. We might have done it wrong, of course, but the diagram is so small scale that you can't work out where any of the screws, and it doesn't tell you anywhere in the description whether you're supposed to be pushing screws above certain fixings. You have to guess. You shouldn't have to do that. So now we have to fit the clip that holds the downpipe. It's got a nice big gutter already, and then they have these end pieces. So the downpipe comes down here, and then we need it to kick out a little bit. So you have to decide before you put the glass in where you want the clips for your water butt. So if you've got a plastic water butt that's high, it'll be up here somewhere. But I'm intending to have some animal drinking troughs on this side and a water butt on the other side. So we probably want it to kick out quite low down. The reason you have to decide is because you've got to actually drill into the frame. So yes, as I say, you need to drill a hole into this metalwork, so you'd have to work out where the clip is. You don't need to leave it fitted because obviously you've got to put the glass in yet, but you do need to work out in advance so that you can work out where the step out comes. So it's got some angled pieces like this, so you can angle it to whichever angle you want, and you can just sort of twist it round on the pipe. So my plan is, as I say, to have 2 water troughs, animal drinking water troughs, in the front here, joined with an overflow pipe between the 2, and I'm going to put pond plants in them. One I will scoop out using a watering can for watering things, and the other one I'll just leave the pond plants in to keep the water clear and to make it look pretty. Doug this morning has fitted the bracing bar across. I think this is actually the hanging basket bar, I'm not sure. Yesterday we got all the window positions, and this morning Doug has put these tension bars in, and I think it depends on how big your greenhouse is as to how many of those you get, but you can tighten them to pull the windows and the sides in so they're perfectly straight. But once we start the glass we have to finish it because of the winds that could lift it up. So the next job after fitting the downpipes is to, if you're putting it onto soil, to dig the holes where your ground anchors are going. And the ground anchors are screwed through these base plates with some nuts and bolts. And getting down there was quite hard work because we've got a clay soil underneath. So that's how it's got to be, and then you don't concrete them in till much later, but you've got to get the hooks into position now. While Storm Amy dies out, Doug has been cracking on with the doors and windows. He's built the staging and all the windows and the doors, and he's currently putting in the rubber seal, is it, or beading, or whatever you call it. I can't show you how he did it because I was indoors with the dogs avoiding the storm. But just in case you need to see how the joints work. And the beading runs in, just presses in down the ridge line there, ready to receive the glass. The doors actually look amazing. Sorry if the light's strobing, it's the strip light. They're really very well made, I have to say, and he's got the glass in those as well. They are beautifully made compared to other greenhouses we've built, but the instructions are dreadful. Excuse the howling wind, but Doug was just saying, because of these little bolts down here, if you can see them in the middle beam thing, they stick up obviously in the depth of the rubber seal, so Doug's had to just notch a little bit of rubber out so that it can be pressed in past the bolts, if that makes sense. It doesn't mention that in the details, I don't think, but it just basically pushes in over the edge of the metal ridge and notch it out here so that the glass is not sitting against a metal nut. Doug's just gonna put the glass in these doubles. There we go. There we go, that just drops in on top of the rubbery seal. So the writing on the glass faces outward, does it?
Yep.
So you get the Great British Rhino writing, you can see that, facing outwards. And then what happens? Oh, you put the beading strips in. You've got to make sure your glass is square. And then if you can see this, I don't know whether my camera will be zoomed too far in, but it hooks around the edge of the glass. It goes under this little lip, slopes down, and then the back bit clips around the glass. And so you start a little bit at the bottom on each side to square the glass, and then you work your way up each pane gradually. Not just fit one side and then hope for the best on the other. Just to make sure it's square in the frame, basically. So, have you found it easier by hand than by paddle so far? Yeah. Okay, gosh, that's neat, isn't it? So it makes a lovely neat edge, and it seals up against the glass there.
Morning everybody. It's a slightly overcast dull day, but it's not windy and it's not raining, so we're going to get on with glazing the greenhouse. Doug's just getting all the equipment out. We've got to put all this rubber seal around the edges, and then it tells you to start in the corners at the sides and the top to make sure it's perfectly square. So that'll be the first job that gets done today. We have got some friends coming to help, because when you fit the windows at the top there, they are already glazed and they are quite heavy, and you have to lift that up above the roof, which will be glazed at that point, and slide it into a runner across the top there, if you can see that runner. Yeah, so that will be quite heavy, and it'll need a person each end of the double window.
That needs to be slid on each of the grooves down each of the windows so that it's cushioning the glass when it's on. It's only on the sides though, it's not on the bottom.
Well, both these are actually flush here, perfect. I know they're flush within each other, but
Going great guns. We've got the corners in, all the corner glass top and sides. It's looking good. How is the bead going in, all right or not? Is it
probably the most some of it,
the awkward bit?
To be honest.
Yeah.
It's not a Sue.
It's not, is it? I can't say that on camera. I'll have to bleep you out.
I can get it in the bottom, yeah. I know it's not probably what you want to hear, but I'm in at the bottom, both sides.
You're supposed to do a little bit each side, aren't you?
Yeah.
And how's the glass gripper? Is it good?
The glass gripper is a really good bit.
Is it? That's good. So Doug's putting the louvers in. Set pieces. Oh, there's a small piece of glass at the bottom. And you've got to cut individual sized pieces of beading. That's annoying, eh?
Not very well cut on.
But the majority of the glass is now in. Let's see. Squidging the back in as well. Oh, we're using the red thing now. Is that working, is it? Mark's using the red bit of stuff. Hooray! Well done. Well done, Marky.
Right. Same again.
So we have
So we've got
half an end in as well now.
Well, that's enough now. You've got enough glass in it. It's a house with some glass. Yeah, where was the one you kept?
Only a few missing panes, we're alright.
Yeah. Quick carrier.
It's not going to go past those.
They just snipped, they just need snipped or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to like trim it round or just cut it off?
I'm going to have a go at these two top
Trim it
bits.
around.
Somebody's not bothered about ladders, eh? It's not quite on the slab or the sand, and you're on the top rung and nobody's holding it.
Oh, the window cleaner! Yeah, but you're videoing. We're waiting for the comedy to
Yeah,
unfold.
while you fall off in a big pile. It's a bit fiddly, isn't it?
Yes. Very annoyingly so.
But it does look neater than those metal W clips. That...
That's it.
Alternate sides. Right, okay. Sorry, I moved my hand out the way. I thought I was holding the glass, but I'm not.
Nope.
It's not going in. Hold on. This sucker is essential. So we've had a little disaster, but I didn't have the camera turned on. So one shattered piece of toughened glass. Not to worry, it's just the picking up that's a pain in the bum. So I don't have to fix the H section first. It doesn't fit the headers. Okay, so I was just being too cautious. Whoa.
Yeah, this is a bit of a problemo, this one.
The flat top's not going to go in.
No, it's not. It's
Gotta go in. That looks like it's going to go in now. I
no.
get it. It's just end up against it. Oh, fucking hell, it does go in.
Phew.
Whoa.
Sun setting on another day. We're almost there. It's cold and slippy this morning, isn't it?
I think I'll be alright.
Can you reach? Well, that went in nicely anyway.
Yeah.
We can slice off the extra silicone when it's all dried and stuff.
So
Yeah.
they give you a few of these old style clips to hold things in until you get the beading in position.
And you haven't got enough pair of hands.
And you haven't got enough pair of hands, which is quite helpful, yeah. They are quite helpful.
Yeah, that's nice.
Mark actually finished off this end last night and put the beading all the way around, and it looks so much neater with this lovely beading, to be honest, than the old style clips. So that's all in. So we've got one piece of glass missing here and the louver, obviously, and the louver there, and another piece of glass and the louver there. So, and then there's a small triangle.
Yeah, that don't look right.
The bars are at a different height.
Yeah.
So is it that the bottom one is smaller than the top one? I think this one is slightly shorter in height than the top one. Yeah, it fills the hole, but it's just that's why the bar's not in line.
That's so much better.
It does look so much better. Doug's got the plastic bit and the clips. Yes, that's better. They're in line now. And it is looking magnificent. Obviously, we've got to put down pipes on the gutters, and the door's got to be hung, but it is already glazed.
So the third blind along,
Yeah.
I'm trying to centre it for you. So if you line up the rollers with
Yep.
the
Runners, yeah.
They just sit inside the.
Yeah. Okay. Bit more to the. Keep going. Keep going. Bit more. Bit more. Bit more. Okay. So they just slide across. I say just. They just slide across the roof at the top. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
There we go. Mark demonstrating the blinds. Cool. So that's how it attaches to the runner at the top. Wow. Right, so the staging goes onto the brackets on the side that we put the nuts and bolts in for, and then you've got a little shelfy thing on the top. And they just sit on, or do they slot into holes or something?
There's a slot in there. There's a bolt that you.
Oh, right, okay. So underneath here, there is a runner to put a nut and bolt, and it goes through that hole, presumably. Is there any different? Oh, you have got different length, right? Okay, so the short one at the end.
Try putting that one in there. So if I did that to that.
Yes,
There we
perfect. Middle, longer ones in the middle, short ones at the ends. Fabulous. You can get 2 foot depth shelvings, but they're at waist height instead of having staging. So this is a 1 foot shelf basically, and I chose to put it on that side because this is the sunnier side and I didn't want to block the light basically. And then I'm going to put the 2 stagings, the full height tables, one at each side, and then I'm going to build raised beds round in a U shape and have a small central one in the middle. One bit drilled to do the finials, which are another fiddly bit, but they weigh an absolute ton. You wouldn't want to get coshed on the head with that, eh? And this is what it says. The terrible, terrible small diagrams, which are really hard to see. Why can't they just make them bigger? Well, that's nice and neat, eh?
Take to get on.
Oh yeah. Ta-da! Looks fabulous. Well done.
It's a bit busy, by the way. It's a bit busy.
What? What, having a finial? No. Now if I was really posh, I'd have spikes all the way along the ridge for the pigeons to keep off.
Yeah, but you have a couple of ones instead.
So it's not even half the bag, is it?
No, not even close.
That's good.
Some of them might be, but.
So far.
We'll have spare anyway, won't we then, if that's the case?
Right. Marvellous. So Doug has put on the door rail up here. Looking good. And upstairs we're going to have to probably take a bit of it off to put the doors on. But we're not going to put the door on until that piece of glass has been replaced. That was the one that shattered. Mark's tamping in the cementy stuff for the holes. And the shelf's all done. So all the way along there. Looks fabulous. Fabulous. Obviously we need to clean the glass to get the fingerprints off. And some stickers that might be left behind. But generally speaking, the majority of it is done. Louvers are done. We've got to put the self-openers on the windows still. And hang the doors. The doors are already glazed. I showed you them earlier. We're not putting the doors on yet because we need to clear off this sand. Otherwise it will get into the runner. So that has to be tidied up first before the door goes on. So I don't know if you can see this because the light's a bit rubbish, but these auto vents are different to the ones shown in the video on their channel. And the metal piece of bracket goes behind the window bar, between the glass and the window bar, in through the black plastic. And the same up the top there, you can see it. This is how we've interpreted the diagram. I've coloured in the bits on the diagram which we think are supposed to be the green bits of greenhouse as pink, because I hadn't got a green pen. So the little clippy bracket sits behind the green, between the glass and the green, which doesn't feel right when you're doing it, but that's what we're thinking is right. Again, the diagrams are so small. So our friend Mark has just finished filling in all the cement holes. Put the date in the corner there, so they're all cemented in, and the first two that he did are almost dry. They say 10 minutes on the packet, and
Yeah,
it is.
about right.
It is pretty much done. Yeah.
In future videos we will be showing you us fitting it out, slabbing and putting the raised beds in, and I'll show you hanging the doors, so you might want to subscribe so you don't miss that one if you are building your own. It'll only be a week or so's time. We hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, please ask me, because we found it exceptionally hard. You need a lot of help, to be honest. Just want to say a huge thank you to all our friends and family that helped out. We couldn't have done it without any of you. It was really much appreciated. But if you do have any questions about the build, please feel free to ask. We'll do our best to help you. It's the best quality one we've ever had, and we've built quite a few and we still struggled with the instructions. So please feel free to ask. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. It's much appreciated. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.